Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of The Vibe. The track you just heard was produced by our next guest. He goes by Pink. His real name is Jesse. He's, like I said, a DJ and producer. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Hey,
Jesse.
what's up, guys? So much love and support out to all you guys, man.
Right on. We appreciate that. We appreciate that so much. And that track was fucking banging, dude.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Yeah,
so thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and I'll get this on camera, too, that you guys are free to use that anytime, like, for any artist, for any time you guys are sharing the podcast.
Right on.
You guys are totally free to use that.
We appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's get started here. First, you know Dennis, our producer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So where did you guys first meet?
So we actually met in high school. Me and him actually went to Hudsonville together. We grew up in little small town Hudsonville.
Right on.
And
geometry class.
Yeah, in geometry class. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then was that Mr. Clausen's class that we had together, or was that? Shoot, I can't remember what teacher we had. There were so many of them at that school. Like,
I don't remember any teacher names, honestly.
Yeah, I remember like one or two, but yeah, it kind of gets fuzzy. It's a blur.
Right?
It's a blur,
yeah,
man.
Absolutely.
So I'm so sorry about that. Let me silence my phone. But it's me and him met in high school, and I actually went and moved to an alternative school afterwards. So it was kind of funny because I was always like, I always had like a good personality and stuff. Like I never really did that many like bad things, I guess you could say.
Sure.
But like I actually ended up going to a school that like had a bunch of like bad kids in it. And it was definitely a surreal experience for sure. Like I walked through, and I think the first day I saw some kid just like hitting a blue cig in the hallway. I'll never forget that.
Environment.
Yeah, it was a completely different environment, but that was definitely my roots and where I came from. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Sweet.
Yeah.
So how did you get into EDM?
I got into EDM. So I first started DJing when it was when I was going to school at that alternative school. I actually bought a DJ controller at Guitar Center.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I thought it looked cool, and like it had a bunch of cool buttons and stuff. So I took it home. And I messed around with it, and I actually tried to DJ for my school's wedding.
Oh, really?
For my school's prom, excuse me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the prom.
Nice.
And so, so I got this controller, and like I started spinning on it, and like I really had a fun time, and it was mostly just like Skrillex and stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
I was so noob like to the genre at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I more or less like listened to death metal like in my early years, and then as it progressed, like I started to see that EDM was definitely the next wave, and I could definitely like connect to like the heavier music and
like dubstep. That's pretty comparable in terms of the beat and stuff like that.
Yeah, so. Especially in like crowds, like I'll go out to bars and stuff now, and I'll see like so many people that I used to see at metal shows when I was going to high school. So it's definitely like same kind of crowd, same vein type of stuff.
Yeah, and you see a lot of the newer guys kind of infusing metal and dubstep.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and that's fun. Like that's I'm in full support of that. And there's actually a dubstep artist, Ghastly. He actually used to be in a metal band called the Irish Front, which they were awesome. Yeah, they were an awesome band, and they were totally my stuff. So I don't know, I get really inspired from music like that.
Yeah, right on. Sweet. Yeah, that's really cool. So when would you say that EDM kind of was brought into your life?
Like when it seriously started getting brought into my life was actually when I downloaded SoundCloud, because I wanted to know like what it was all about. And I just went on the thing, and I just went on the stream, like just on whatever comes on, I don't care. And like I was just hearing some crazy ass sounds, like just some crazy stuff I never even thought was like possible with sound. I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that. Like how do you do that? So yeah, it's I first started experimenting with like stuff like that, and I was just really curious about like how it was actually made, and like what's behind that, and like what does that look like in a workstation, you know?
And that kind of became your life, right? You went to school.
Yeah, so music production. I actually started going to school for just making music, like actually recording people, like being in recording studios. Like we had an SSL desk that was like $1 million, and like we got to work on it, and it was a super fun time.
Where was this taking place?
This was in Arizona. So I actually moved to Arizona quite a few years ago. I think it was back in 2014, and then after that, so I started going to school, and I started like learning all these things about music. And
What was the name of the school?
it was called the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Science.
Okay.
I've seen a couple advertisements around for it. I've seen some stuff like on my Instagram advertisements and stuff. I don't know if anybody else sees them, but I still get them, and it's a good school. It was good for what it was, but it didn't really teach me what I needed to know about EDM. That was for sure. Like it kind of taught me like how to learn, if that makes any sense. So like I went to school, and they gave us all these like workstations. They gave us a Mac. They gave us like hooked us all up with everything. And as soon as like they taught me how to push the record button, like it was on.
Yeah.
Like because me and my friends, we would get together and we would make metal like all night. Like he had a couple 7-string guitars, and then he had an 8-string too. So we would make like some crazy like just metal stuff. We would do use this program called Superior Drummer to make like animatronic drums, so we didn't need a drummer. We would I actually did vocals on a couple of the tracks, so that was really fun.
Nice.
Yeah. That was a good time. Yeah, definitely a different kind of style, but it was cool like to transition from that to starting to learn how electronic music is made. And I guess I started learning that like when my cousin actually moved down and started living with us, and he's always wanted to be a rapper, and so like I wanted to try to make like some beats for him and stuff. So I started learning about beat production and about Ableton and about just all this different stuff, and like I went and dove into that myself after the program.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of my friends, like they learned the stuff from the program, and they learned how to record people, they learned how ins and outs work, they learned all that stuff, but they weren't taught how to produce or how to actually like make music, or, you know, if you're not playing an instrument.
Right.
So so we started so I started like making beats and stuff, and it just all kind of took off from there. I started my brand Pink because I actually worked at the Victoria's Secret. That was in Arizona.
No way.
That was, yeah, that's kind of like the whole thing behind my name. They were the first people to pay me to DJ, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I DJ'd in the store, and they wanted me to put together a 90s mix.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
that's
it was,
awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. And so I put together like this whole mashup mix, and it's actually really good. It's on my SoundCloud still.
Okay.
Shout out to my SoundCloud if you want to go check it out. But I made that mashup, and they were the first people to pay me, and so I went under the moniker Pink just because, like, I don't know, I'm kind of like the 1% of people that work at Victoria's Secret. I'm probably even a smaller percentage of that are like DJs or music producers. So it was kind of a unique story to me. And
absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like where the background and everything came from.
Yeah, and that's a great story if people were to ask, you know, what's up with that name.
Yeah, and I didn't want copyright, because if I put my stuff on clothes, I didn't want people to be like suing me and stuff. So I'm just like, and people always like, they always mispronounce it. I think Tyler Knighton, the first time he pronounced my name, he said Punk. I was like, I don't blame you for thinking that, but it's Pink. It's like the I fell over, you know, like
Gotcha.
the P_.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah,
right on.
So
that's a dope story.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that's why you named yourself.
It's a crazy come up story, man, and I've got so many crazy stories from there. Like I actually got a girl's number from there one time, and that was pretty sick. Sold her underwear. I was like, hey, let me get up in there.
That's hilarious.
No, it was a fun time. Yeah.
So what made the move back to Michigan for you?
I just knew so many more people over here. Like all the people, Dennis included, like just so many people that I knew from high school, and like people that have always supported me, like just not even making music, just as a person in general.
Yeah.
But they're all here. So, you know, like it's a different feeling because, you know, over there you can't just walk into Family Fair and I can just expect to see Dennis in there, or see you in there, or see whoever. Like you don't know anybody. Like you are starting from literal like ground zero.
Yeah.
And that was really hard to get in.
Sure.
And so my brother Cody Lee, shout outs to him too. He actually got me to come down here because he knew Reptar and Tyler Knighton to get me into the Log Cabin. And shout outs to those guys too. Like those three people, like if all that hadn't worked out, like I don't know where I'd be today, like if I hadn't moved back and if I was just stubborn. And like I think the biggest thing about it was that like I'd moved out there like all by myself, like fresh 18, like I'm gonna go do this.
Yep.
And like I didn't want to prove everybody else right that like I couldn't do it. You know, I didn't want everybody to think like hey, you know, like he's coming back to Michigan because, you know, he can't survive out there but on his own, like
Right.
out in Arizona and stuff.
Yeah.
And like that wasn't really the case. It was just more the people and the interactions and like the different connections that you make.
And the
like,
scene, right? Like,
yeah,
I
and the
mean,
scene.
So
Yeah.
can you talk about Arizona? Like, how are they in terms of...
It was really hardcore. I mean, like they were really into like the EDM stuff. Like they were some of the first people I ever heard spinning hybrid trap, spinning like crazy out of the box genres like that. So yeah, their scene is crazy out there. They have an event. They were supposed to have an event that Lil Peep was supposed to be at, and just a couple days before he died in Tucson, in
No
Arizona.
way.
Yeah. So yeah, it's there's a really huge scene out there, and people go out to the desert. There's this thing called desert raves, and people will literally like go out into the middle of the desert, set up speakers, set up lights, set up all this stuff, and just start playing, and like
Their
a
own
bunch of
Burning
kids
Man.
will come out. Yeah, it's like its
Right?
own Burning Man, like
Yeah.
every weekend. And
Yeah.
I tried to submit a mix in there, and I submitted my 90s mix, and it had a lot of like trap elements. It had like some dubstep stuff in there. You know, it was a very versatile mix.
Mm-hmm.
Sent it to him, and he said, we don't spin music like that. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, that's pop music. I was like, you call this? I mean, yeah, like there's a lot of stuff on the radio, but like there's trap and shit in here.
Right.
He's like, nah, we don't do that out here. And I was like, yo, you guys must be on some other shit then, because I don't know what else I can do at that
Yeah,
point. Like,
yeah.
So
Oh, that's crazy.
yeah, it was a really competitive scene too, and like a lot of people that like I said that I would just see out at random bars, like they were full on producers, like they were like making music, like they were getting signed, like it was big business over there. So
Yeah.
for sure, it's a huge city. There's like 3 million people in there, so
Right on.
it's a big city.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I'm just so used to Grand Rapids, and you know we have bass country, and like we are kind of the destination for a lot of artists. Like the intersection pulls in a lot.
Yeah.
20
yeah.
Monroe is starting to pull in a lot more too.
And I'm really like surprised with how much the scene has grown, even since like I moved back. I only moved
Sure.
back 2 years ago, I think, and it's been blowing up.
Yeah.
Like I've people that I knew 2 years ago that were like wearing cowboy boots and stuff. Now they're all wearing pashminas and wearing
Right,
like
dude. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's trippy.
Definitely it's taken over.
it's
It
taken
really
over
is.
for sure. And
It's
like
a universal sound for one, which I think is you don't get with many different genres.
right.
And yeah, it's great to see. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's such a great scene. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure your experience is just like mine, where it's just good people getting together and having a good time.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
what it's all about.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely what it's all about, and just like coming together and collaborating to make something like bigger
The
than yourself.
collaboration, like
Yeah.
you said, is
It-
well, it's awesome. That's,
It's huge.
That's why wouldn't you want to work with other people? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's
I had some people that when I was in Arizona, it was so crazy because I was in Arizona at the time, and these people messaged me on SoundCloud and asked me if I wanted like promotion on my music, and I was like, hey, heck yeah! So they like started like getting my songs around and really getting it up and getting the numbers up. And come to find out, they're actually in Detroit or in Pontiac.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
so I actually came back and went and visited them.
Small
and
world.
like, yeah, it was crazy. Like it's
Nuts.
collaboration is the best. I
Yeah,
love it. I
and-
love connecting with different people. And like,
right, and that's the vibe I get from pretty much everyone in the scene. You know,
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
hey, let's try something together. You know,
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Yeah,
right? Which is
exactly.
great.
And it's like it's a gift and a curse at the same time, because there are bad people out there. Like you can't deny that bad
Right.
people aren't anywhere. You
Right.
know,
Yep.
but so it can be sometimes hard to trust people, like because people are like too nice. Like some people have said that I was too nice before. Like I don't know. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that like most people are really chill, and like I've never run into like excuse me like a bad person or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've never had any negative experiences, but
Right.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be that outlier.
Right,
but,
that outlier, and like that person that's manipulative enough to look at all these people and say, oh, so I just act how they act, and then like people will like me, and then I can be a
Right.
snake and do whatever.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. There's always two sides, but way more good people than bad for sure.
Yeah.
So let's see. You just had a show recently. You had a pretty good New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's
New
talk
Year's
about
Eve was
that.
banging,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. Oh my God. We turned up so hard, and we had a great time. Shout outs to Matt. He did a great job throwing the event, and I was a little nervous because I'd never had Matt book an event, and I don't know if he's ever done an event before. I'd have to confirm that, but he did a great job throwing the event, and everything just kind of came together, and it was a great time. There's a lot of good friends that were there. Young Hung was there, Twisted Dubs, Brad Osmond was there, Coherent was there, Sky, she's really cool, and it's cool. It's like really cool being tight with everybody now.
Right? In
Yeah.
the underground scene, like this
Yeah.
is something that's not really posted or known about. You kind of got to know someone in
Yeah.
order to, figure out where this is at, and we don't want to, put anything on there that we can't, so we can't really say where this was, but
Yeah.
it's just do your research. That's really all I can say. It's not like they're trying to keep people away. They just don't want it to get too big. I'm
Right.
Sure,
Right.
making it like a secret location. But the fact that we have these underground raves in Grand Rapids is super cool. And like you said, mad props to people who put that on. I'm sure that's an undertaking.
Yeah, and again, shout outs to Tyler Knighton, because I don't know what that man is on. He throws so many cool shows, and like I don't know how he does it, man. Like I was struggling. He taught me a lot about throwing shows and just about just like planning that kind of thing in general, and I was just like I couldn't do it. I
I'm
couldn't
sure
do
it's
it.
a lot of work, right?
It's a lot of work.
A lot of
yeah.
coordination with a lot of different hands involved. So, but yeah, for the fact that we were able to have those, thank you to everyone who
Yeah.
supports and makes these events possible, because we love EDM and we can't get enough and keep them coming. right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
let's
no,
get
of
to the
course,
point.
definitely,
Mhm.
definitely, and I'm just so thankful that like they're still open to like new acts. Like it's not like you're just seeing, Ronan on just every set. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like you're seeing other DJs that are coming locally, like supporting, and doing that kind of thing. You
Right
know,
on.
so
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So how was your 2019? I mean, was that
It was a good year. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of like if you like imagine an airplane, like 2018 I was on the ground, like 2019 I'm like just starting to do this, and now
Mhm.
2020 like it's going this
Yeah,
way. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I feel the
it's-
same way, man. 2020 is that year that I think it's going to be a good year.
It's
for
exciting.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna be dropping new music soon, hopefully in the next couple months or so. I've been saying that, but I think it's really gonna come to fruition because I've gotten really handy with the producer skills, and
Nice.
yeah, and I have a bunch of friends that like really help push me on my Discord server. I know it's
Okay.
kind of weird, but like we all like get together on Discord and like we'll all produce songs together, and it's
Right on.
it's a
Sweet.
super awesome time. So I think I've grown a lot from that, and
Nice.
just like learning different things, and
Right on.
it's been a good time.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's on your horizon right now? What do you got coming up?
New shows. I spin with Reptar on his birthday. I can't quite remember the event name
Okay.
that's happening at, but that's the underground spot.
Okay.
If you know, you know.
Right.
Then we got and then on the 27th I'm playing with Silks. Silks, I think Andy Arcade and Kin. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they're super dope. Yeah, Kin's really nice. I just saw him recently. He just, when he had gotten back, he was super drunk. He came back from the, who was that just came? Porter Robinson, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah. It's gonna be good. Like networking with all the homies, doing all this stuff. So,
Yeah. Right on. Right on. That's
Yeah.
dope.
yeah.
What about show wise in terms of being a fan? Anything on your horizon?
Like going to stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I want to go to Forest really bad.
Yeah.
I always want to go every year.
Right.
But I really want to go. I don't know if I'll quite have the money this year. Yeah, I'm really wanting to go though. That's my number one
Yeah.
place. And
Have
like
you been there before?
I got to spin there last year. Yeah.
Oh, really?
For the
Nice.
silent disco. Yeah.
Nice. That's
So,
awesome.
It was cool.
Yeah, that's super cool, man.
It was a fun time.
I bet.
Yeah, and I shout outs to Reptar so much. Like he is so much family to me. Like I showed up and I totally forgot my USB, and we're on this golf cart and we're like miles away from our campground. And so I pulled out my laptop and like he was just started spinning stuff on his drive like while I was trying to get everything hooked up because I wanted to play my original tracks and like that's really important to me. So,
sure, absolutely.
So
yeah.
I plugged it into the CDJ. I only got one CDJ working, but we back to back and like he made it okay and it was just like he turned like this what could have been like the worst experience ever into like the best experience.
Right.
So,
oh man, that's awesome.
and like we're sitting in there and we're DJing and there's two colors, just red and blue. And I'm like DJing, we're red. And I'm DJing and I just look up and everybody's like on red and I'm like, okay. Like,
so
cool.
like their headsets change colors.
Yeah.
And you can tell what they're listening to right on.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's
it was
so
really
cool,
it
man.
was dope.
Because I've never been a part of a silent disco.
Yeah,
it
it was my first one.
Okay.
It was my first one, and it was ran by it was the Pinky E. Rang Renegade stage.
Okay.
So
Yep.
it wasn't the bus, but it was the Renegade
They're
stage
affiliated
to the side.
still?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And it was a really weird experience. We all kind of governed ourselves. I thought that was kind of really cool.
Yeah.
It could have gone wrong, I guess, but
Yeah.
everything went smoothly from what I saw. But like I just hopped in the back and I'm talking to this guy, and I think he's like the owner of like this whole thing.
Mhm.
And no, he's just another DJ, and he's just like, no, man, I'm just waiting for you to, get all your stuff so that like I can stop DJing and you guys can start. And I
Right
was
on.
like, oh, okay, there's like, nobody but us. All right.
Right on. That's super cool.
Cool,
What an
fun.
awesome experience.
Yeah, it was really fun.
That's great.
Yeah, and everybody had just come out of, I think it was like Nightmare and Slander or something.
Oh, okay.
So like everybody just pours out and like they're all coming in and like
Nice.
I looked up and everybody's channel was red.
Nice. That makes you feel good. That
Yes.
makes you feel good.
It was a good time for sure.
Right on. Dope. That's super dope.
I don't really have like a lot of events going on right now. I'm kind of like the black sheep of the EDM like community a little bit. Like I haven't really been booked like for a whole lot of shows and stuff yet, but I'm hoping that like through connections and stuff, and more recently it's actually like picked up like with me getting the cabin show and
Nice.
getting the show with
Yeah.
Reptar. So
And I'm sure the more you produce, like I feel like that's a really big part
that is like my life. Like if you talk to me, I'm like at home smoking weed, like making beats.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that is my thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I still do produce hip hop beats as well. So
okay.
if anybody needs beats, if any of your friends, fuck with that kind of music, I guess, then reach out to me because I make beats on the daily. I probably make like 4 or 5 of them like a day. I just kind of keep building my library in the background.
Right on.
I just kind of lurk in the shadows, and then
Yeah.
like when I come out with an EP, everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah, right on. But hey, it's a process, right?
Yeah.
You don't wanna rush anything.
It's a huge process, especially like if you're putting together an album and everything on it has to be cohesive. Like if you listen to one song and then you go to the next song and it's like super loud, and then you go to the next song and it's super quiet, and then it just doesn't fit together. It very much has to be like a cohesive project.
Yeah, and a lot of that is mastering, right? Because that's
Mastering, I don't think is it. No,
No,
I think
okay.
I think most of it comes down to the mix down.
okay.
In my personal opinion, like my beats, I don't master my beats at all. Like I will send them out without any kind of master track or anything on them because what I've learned in my experiences anyway, and pro tip for anybody who's trying to produce, you produce the beat, you master the song.
Okay.
So yeah, for hip hop.
Right on.
That's kind of what I've learned, and this was just recently actually. Like I used to master my beats all the time just to get them loud, but nowadays it's just like it sounds great if I don't master it and just stick the master on at the end when the vocals are on.
Right on. Right on. That's cool.
Mhm.
It's a nice tip.
Yeah.
DJ tips.
It's all you producers
That
out
could be
there.
a new segment. DJ tips.
Yeah, DJ tips. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So how about goals? So what do you have for 2020? What was like the biggest goal for you?
My goals are set high.
Yeah.
I'm really ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really out there for this. Like I want to get on the Renegade. I want to get on the RV this time for
Okay.
Pinky Rang.
Okay.
I definitely want to try to get onto what's that one that happens in like September, that big music festival? Breakaway, yeah.
Yeah,
I want to try and get on Breakaway. Yeah.
Nice.
I want to try to get on Breakaway if I can. I want to get more shows in Detroit and stuff. I think that would be super fun.
Mhm.
So, if you know any promoters.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, networking's a big part of it, right?
It is.
Like,
It definitely is. Yeah.
you really have to kind of put yourself out there and be willing to let other people into your life.
Yeah, and like those people have to accept you too, and they
Right.
know that you're for real.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing, and it just sucks. Like I said, just because I don't get out as much as some people do to get out to some of these shows because I'm just in my room, like I'm producing, I'm trying to get the content so that when I start DJing, I can just release that, and I don't have to worry about it. I can spin my own songs, and
Right.
everything's kind of there, and I'm slowly build a following. And
Right.
people are like, oh, I like Pink's music, not like,
Yeah.
oh, I like Pink's mixes. You
Right.
know? Like,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
And that's what's interesting about EDM, because there are artists who can become big and not produce a damn thing.
I know.
Isn't that crazy?
I know.
Like,
And yeah, I'm not gonna name any names, but there are quite a few of
Right.
them that, and I'm just like, what are you gonna do after, like, after everybody's booked you for some of the biggest shows, like, then what?
Mhm.
Like, where do you go from there? You know,
Right.
like, you can try to start producing, but it's you're a little late, bud. Like,
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I just find that super interesting. Like, I don't even know how that can be a thing, because I personally have a lot more respect for artists who can play an entire set that is their music, right?
Yeah,
You know, and I know
super
DJing
respect.
is definitely that DJing, you know, like playing what the crowd wants. But for those who can actually do all their own material and mix it together well, you know,
Yeah.
like Daft Punk.
And that's
like,
the thing, is that, like, you know, I'll be sitting, like, I'm supposed to be practicing for a show, but instead I'm, like, going over the same song that I'm gonna drop when the show comes, and
Yeah.
it's, like, such a bad habit. Like, I'm not the best DJ. Like, I don't admit to be the best DJ or the best, like, person to mix in the club or whatever, but, like, you throw me on Ableton and, like, I'll get some shit cooking up,
Right
like,
on.
you know. So
Right on.
you know, but I'll just be sitting there for days and days on end, just, like, listening to this track. I'm like, oh yeah, I have, like, a set list to prepare. Like, I can't just spin this one song. I gotta spin more than this.
Right, yeah, yeah. Well, it takes a long time to build, you know, your personal library.
Yeah,
You know?
it definitely does,
Mhm.
and it's just hard to get everything right, especially in EDM, because there's so many elements. There's
Mhm.
so many different things, and, like, you don't just want to, like, have the same sound going on for, you know, 16 bars. Like, you wanna switch it up and
Right.
like make it different, you
Mhm.
know.
And
So
diverse.
you can spend a lot of time because you're just, you know, sitting there thinking, like, oh, what should go here, what should go there, you know.
Yeah.
And I always just get so just lost in just listening to it. Like, once I get it to a certain point, and it sounds super dope, but it's like it's hard for me to start changing stuff,
Right.
you
yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So how does your musical process start when you do a track? What do you start with?
I start off with a blank canvas, pretty much. I actually have a template which has a kick, a snare, some hi-hats. It's basically just a template for beats. So, like,
Sure.
there would be, like, a melody underneath, and then I have, like, separate tracks for just, like, what would be in a hip-hop track. So a kick, snare, open hat, hi-hats, and then, like, just stuff like that on the drum track, and those are already in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I use those to kind of curate beats when, you know, to get something going fast. But when I start an EDM track, like, I'll usually start out with the melody, and I'll just, like, I use Faceplant and Serum, so those
Okay.
are,
Yep.
yeah, those things are pretty powerful, so you
Yeah.
can create some really cool stuff with that.
Yeah.
But I just start out with those, and then I start coming up with the drum beat, and usually I start actually at the drop, because, you know, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
you can
yeah.
create a
Yeah.
little atmosphere later,
Right.
but I
Mhm.
start at the drop because
That's
it's exciting.
the most important part, right? It really
Yeah,
is.
and we actually, me and my buddies will get together and we'll do like a 1 hour drop challenge. So
Okay.
we'll all go against each other and see like
Nice.
who makes the coolest track at the end of the
Right.
night. It's usually one of the other producers in there named
Make a
Midlights.
game out of it. That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I've been a part of a few, you know, processes of different individuals making tracks, and it's cool how different people can go about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's definitely a process, and you listen to a lot of the same thing over and over and over, right? And
yeah,
it can mess with your head, probably.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
A little
right?
bit,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit, and it can mess with your ears too. And
Yeah.
that's something I'm a victim of. Is that like I'll just keep listening to it, and I'll be like, damn, that's loud, you know? Like I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should just give it a break, you know, for a second, and I'll come back and I'll be like, oh, it just needs this, you know. And you definitely have to give yourself breaks because yeah, you can definitely go crazy.
I'm sure.
Like, and especially a lot of people when they're producing or just making music in general, they keep trying to force the same thing that maybe they perhaps initially came up with. Like, oh, I had this cool idea, and like I'm just trying to make it work, adjusting, and it's just like, you know, sometimes you just got to take it out and do something new.
Yeah.
And just
for
start something new, and that's something that is like really hard for me as well as I know a lot of people. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And I mean, you also hear about, you know, the bigger artists who have a lot of unfinished tracks. or different samples.
I have so many unfinished tracks.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my list of unfinished tracks is like endless. Like, I filled up, like, my premium actually expired, but I filled up the max capacity, like, on the SoundCloud thing without having the premium.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I filled it up. Yeah. And just a bunch of demos, a bunch of like works in progress, and some of them are definitely going to go on the new album, but some of them I'm just like, yeah, I'll just keep that, you know, in the back and just keep progressing. You know, that's the thing with the music is like you have two choices. You can either keep moving or you can just like stay stuck on that one thing and just forcing it to work, you know? And a lot of people, in the sense, when they're creating, they get stuck in the same loop, but when they're actually producing, they like want to start a new project because they're stuck on that one and they won't want to, you know,
right.
They don't want to mess with it.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, sometimes the long haul pays off.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. When you're sitting there, like, just going and going and going, like, it pays off sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
So you said you keep talking about an album. Like, is this something
it's an EP. It's an EP.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a couple tracks,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I just wanted to get your guys' take on the one that I did for you guys, because I could definitely turn that into a full track if you guys wanted to.
We'd love to hear that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and then you guys would have two drops, one for intro, one for outro.
Right.
So yeah, I could definitely, you know, turn that into something. I'm just, like I said, I've just been getting my bearings and just, you know, I want to come out with stuff soon before I start getting booked for a lot of shows too, because that's really important, you know.
So do you have a time frame for this, or
probably the next couple months or so.
I know it's hard.
Nothing definite.
It's hard to say, right?
But like new stuff will be coming, and yeah, I just upgraded my desktop, so it should be coming a lot sooner.
Right on.
Yeah,
right
now
on.
that I don't have Ableton crashing on me like every 10 seconds.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to hearing it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because we thoroughly enjoyed the intro and love your sound.
Yeah, thank you. And that's very much like, that is my sound. Like, if I were to like pin it down to like one song or one couple drops or whatever, like that would be one of them.
Okay,
for sure.
right on. And to put a name on it, what would you?
It's like deep trap.
Okay.
Yeah, like deep hard trap. But then like a lot of times I'll mix it up, and like halfway through the drop I'll go into drum and bass, or halfway through the drop for Cabin Wobble, which is one of my releases, I go into psytrance for a minute.
Oh really?
Yeah, and
Nice.
then on second time through I think I go to J Club.
Okay.
And then yeah.
Right on. Keep
So,
it fresh.
Yeah, I keep it fresh always.
Absolutely.
Yeah, always. I love
You
changing it up.
You don't want to have something that people are going to expect. You want to definitely catch people
Right.
off guard, and I think
And
that's what makes tracks.
Yeah, and I want that unique sound to like reflect who I am as a person. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I don't
Absolutely.
just want to show up with just the same sound. Wah, 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 wah. You know, it's like, do we get it? You know?
right. Give me some variety here.
Exactly.
I get that for sure.
Exactly. So.
Well, right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're super excited to hear what you have to produce, man, because the intro is awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, I really appreciate you guys' feedback on it.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And that could also inspire, other people that we get on the podcast to
Yeah, to
have
come
it,
check it out.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. What I have up there is kind of like that for the most part. I think I have one feature bass track, which I gotta pull off there because that shit's terrible. But yeah, it's awesome, man. I love producing. It's like it's my whole life. So I got so worried when I came in because I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna talk to me about. I'd be like, so what do you do? I'd be like, smoke weed. And it's like, that's it. Like, that's my life, man.
Yeah.
And I'm currently living like with my parents and stuff. I'm just kind of hanging out there for right now. And just doing my thing, just trying to come out to as much as I can, just showing my face wherever I can and just supporting everybody. Like,
Absolutely.
I love support. Like,
Yeah.
support is the biggest thing. I will support you to the bitter end if you are just like, if you're just a cool person to me, and like if you step off stage and like you're actually nice and
right.
cool and chill to be around, and you help me get opportunities, like I will rep the hell out of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That being loyal and having people who really care, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's like, it's my everyday pretty much outside of beats, you know what I mean? Like, when I step away from the computer and stuff, like, that's what I'm thinking of, I'm going on Facebook, I'm trying to see, like, what events are there, like, if Tyler posted anything, if Ronan posted anything, if Carpow posted anything, like, should I share this? I want to share this,
Right, yeah.
So just sharing, getting the word out there, and, like, I don't mean for anybody on my Facebook, I don't mean to be, like, a personal, like, billboard for all these shows, but it's my whole life, so
Right.
I just,
right
I just share what I love. And,
right. Yeah. And maybe inspire someone to have their first experience. Which who knows where it could lead.
Yeah.
But I can almost guarantee you it's going to be a positive one. So
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah, I'm hoping for good things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to touch on, so you helped with visuals at the log cabin.
I did.
Is that something that
I
you...
did. I would be so interested on doing that.
Yeah.
I only got to run it for a night. But that was actually the homie Ben Steele, Silks, who's going to be spinning with me at this next show.
Okay.
Funnily enough, and that was his rig that he brought in, and I was just messing with it on Tuesday, and I just kind of came up there and like he was kind of showing me how like some of the things in the program worked.
So this was your first time doing it?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow,
yes.
okay.
Very much so. Yeah.
Man, I couldn't tell because it looked
Really?
awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you saw that, and I'm glad you could appreciate it, because so I was just up there and I was just messing around at first, but then like after I went home, I was like, I made it a mission. I went online, I looked up all these YouTube videos. I was like, I have to learn this program to know how everything works, so that like if I'm in a situation, because the thing was the first night is that all the lights were facing the wrong way, like they kept like going back by the stage, and I wanted them out by the people. I wanted them like face outward.
Right.
So I showed up early the next day, and like I found out all about the program and stuff, and I just started running it, and like it turned out really cool.
Dude, it really did.
I was really happy with it, and I really wish more people would have came and supported, because that was a really cool show, and I was like,
it was.
and the people who were there,
Right.
you know,
It was, it was great.
it was a bomb ass show.
Yeah,
So
definitely kind of underground. Might have flown under the radar for some people, but
yeah,
man, it was dope, and that rig was dope too. And what looked awesome was like you and the DJ were almost like in sync in the sense of how you were manipulating the board and all that.
Yeah. I tried my
pretty cool to
hardest,
see.
to work with what I had, and just to kind of, I was like programming all the light functions before I came in, and like it was really fun.
It worked, man.
Yeah, thank you. And I would love to do that. So if anybody sees this, we're working at the intersection or something, I would love to run lights for you.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Thank you.
You did a really good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah, and I'm just so creatively everywhere. I love, getting into like the visual arts. I love getting into like making the video for you guys. Like that was really fun, and like putting that. I didn't put all those clips together, but I had a homie who shot a music video for me, which is still gonna come out. It's gonna come out soon, but just everybody chill. But yeah, he did that for me, and I spliced those together, and even that's like fun for me. Like I love everything media based. Like I think it's so cool. Like lights, fog, fire. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, man. That's almost just as important.
I love setting it up. I love seeing the gear. I love using the gear. Like everything about it. It's just like it's so me.
Yeah. I love seeing how certain artists set up their stage, at least the big ones, and how they're able to use the lights and the music coincidingly. Is that the word I'm looking for?
And now that I know how those lights work, that's a lot of like macros and little things like programmed, and I'm not saying that it might not be the hardest thing once you have it all set up, but actually setting those lights to, all come down in a row and like, do the little thing, it's you have to program all that in.
Yeah, it's a science. It's a science for sure. Yeah, mad respect to those people who do it. It's a big
and especially for bigger shows. Like when I see bigger shows and I see their lights, I'm like, holy cow, light guys on point,
right? Yeah, and I mean, you look at their setup and it's like, man, they've got tables on tables of shit going on.
Stuff. Yeah,
it's overwhelming.
Yeah,
times, right?
You can only imagine like Bass Nectar does this drop and you push the wrong button,
right?
All the lights go out,
right? Oh man, that's funny, but it's super interesting and cool experience for you. To be able to do that, that's really cool.
It was super awesome, and like again, shout outs to Tyler and Ben, of course. Like you guys are awesome, and Ben for letting me use the lights, because it was a really fun time.
Who's your favorite artist and who you're looking forward to in the future?
I knew I was gonna get asked this question. My favorite artists. Right now I'm really into Yojus. Right now he's like underground, like deep trap, kind of the sound I'm going for. And then somebody that really surprised me was a dubstep artist by the name of Gannon. That he's in France, and I looked at all his music. It's all dubstep, and then I'm on SoundCloud the other day, and it's a drum and bass EP, and it like bangs, man. Like it is like a rhythm drum and bass, and I can really get with that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I like Yojus. Probably like one of my biggest inspirations, like from starting, was probably Delay. Delay. I don't know if you know who Delay is.
I
They
don't,
did
no.
he did a Black Widow remix that was really popular. That got played around a bunch of clubs and stuff. And he, I actually still use his sample pack. Like
Oh,
I use,
really?
I use the
Okay.
basses that are in that,
Okay.
and yeah, they're dope.
Right on.
They go off.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, Delay for sure. Yeah, I would say Delay or Yojis.
Right on.
Mhm.
Those are all like underground artists, and you kind of love that underground
Yeah,
sound.
yeah, I do. I really
Mhm.
love the underground sound
Mhm.
because, all you hear is like rhythm a lot of the times, or you'll hear dubstep, but like I want to capture, that sound that like is just coming up, I
Mhm.
want to play the J Club, I want to play the Psytrance, I want to play like all the niche genres.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who are you looking forward to locally then?
who am I looking forward to locally? That's a good
Like,
question.
who do you see reaching the furthest in the scene?
In
You
the
know.
scene,
Yeah.
I think Ronan's on the right track.
Yeah.
Ronan's definitely like Carpow is getting there. I have to hear her productions first.
Yeah.
I don't know, she won't show me anything.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, I know you got productions on your computer. I know you're working back there behind the scenes,
Yeah.
but just like she won't show me. She's super self-conscious about her music, and I can totally respect
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
I just I think she's on the right track. I just saw her on a thing in Detroit, like with some really big. I think she might have even been headlining.
Oh,
like,
wow.
partially. So
Nice.
yeah, so she's making big moves. Ronan's making big moves. Oh, Nick James. How can I even forget Nick James? Super Future. Like, yeah, he is going places. He's doing stuff. He's doing the thing. I want to
Yeah.
be where he's at. Like,
Yeah.
he's definitely biggest inspiration for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah. I think I just saw him post about being like a traveling artist.
Yeah.
Right now, which is where you want to be.
And like I was just on random like SoundCloud profiles, just like because I just lurk around and like look at different music and stuff. And I'm looking down and it's this really awesome trap artist that I like, and I scroll down and it's like with Super Feature. I'm like, what? What is this?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so it's I would really love to vibe with him more and get in touch with him because he's doing like, and I love his genre too. Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
does like really deep trap stuff, and like his sound, it just sounds so good.
It's so good.
And Meso too, or Meso. I don't know how you say his name, but he's with the Spicy Boys, and I would really like to meet him and collab with him. That'd be cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
So GR's got some people who are gonna get put
Yeah,
on the
and
map.
my biggest inspirations. One of the like foundations of my sound and like everything that I make is G-Rex, actually, surprisingly,
G-Rex.
and Peekaboo, who are both
Yeah.
out of Detroit and Kalamazoo. So
yeah.
if I could ever meet them, I would totally meet them because
Right
they
on.
seem like super down ass dudes,
Yeah.
and their music is super clean.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a unique sound. That's
Yeah.
what I love.
Yeah.
But pretty similar, which is
So, yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's very similar. It's very much in the same vein, I think.
Mhm.
And I would love to produce music like that and just see some of their studio tricks and some of their tricks they got going on.
Right.
I've seen a couple of YouTube videos and I've gone and seen a couple interviews, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's, I mean, the fact that they're local, like Grizz obviously was like the first like big artist, from Michigan.
Yeah. yeah. Well, I don't think Nectar's from here, is he?
I think he's from Cali.
He's from Cali,
I'm
or
pretty sure.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah, because he comes over here a lot. When I saw one of his, it just confuses me because like when I see his live streams, all I see is like Grand Rapids, come to Grand Rapids, and I'm like, oh my god.
he's been here a lot.
He's got a huge scene here.
Yeah,
so.
he's shown Michigan a lot of love.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Forest resident.
Yeah, he's a
got
Forest
his-
resident, so that's kind of why
Mhm.
that's why I thought that.
Yeah. But no, it's great, and I mean, you could argue that EDM, at least in America, kind of originated in the Detroit area. I'm not a big EDM history buff, but I know that Detroit is a huge house scene.
Yeah,
for sure.
and techno.
And
yeah,
techno.
techno and house. Yeah,
Mhm.
that is their jam over there.
Right, and
yeah.
that's kind of how EDM was started, was house and techno.
Yeah.
for sure.
And like that's kind of like why I look up to G-Rex and him, because like they were doing like some crazy out of the box styles that really weren't popular at that time. I
Right.
don't feel like
Pushing the boundaries.
pushing the boundaries,
Which is a huge
lot.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so they're definitely one of the pioneers, like
Mhm.
for the big scene here. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I've heard that Peekaboo actually has come to Papa Pete's once or twice too to
Is
spend
that
like
in
a secret
Kalamazoo?
set. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that
That's
is
so
yeah.
cool.
So he, I've heard things. So
Yeah.
I would love to maybe possibly be there when
Right.
he's there, because that'd be
Right.
fun.
You never know.
Yeah,
You never know.
never
man.
know. You never
Mhm.
know who you're gonna see. That's the
Right.
biggest thing, is you
Mhm.
never know who you're gonna see in the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
crazy.
don't talk trash.
Right.
DJs. Don't talk shit.
Yeah. Right? No, there's no need for that stuff.
Yeah,
No need for that.
no.
Just
There's
build
not.
each other up, and there's enough pie for everybody, right? At the end
Yeah.
of the day. So, done. Anything
Yeah,
else?
anything to add?
Well, so did you say that Skrillex was the first artist in EDM that like showed you like
Definitely.
what EDM was?
Definitely. My brother Cody actually got me onto him in like 2010, and like that was right at the come up. So he actually introduced me, and he was like, "Do you know the band First to Last from First to Last?" And it's totally a band that like I should know, but I was into the heavier bands back in the day. So, and I was like, "No, I don't." And he's like, "Oh, it's Sonny Moore." He's like, "He's Skrillex now."
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, "Who?" And
Yeah.
he showed me him, and like ever since then I went home and I torrented like his whole discography after that, and it was on my iPod, and like even as a metal kid, like I would still occasionally find myself going to the Skrillex playlist, like with all of his songs on it. So
Yeah.
he was definitely like a big inspiration to get the scene going for sure.
Oh,
like
yeah.
and to get me started.
Because it was so hard to get different.
Yeah, I know. It was totally like a different thing, just out of nowhere, and I don't know. And I remember after that, like just seeing Bangarang CDs in everybody's car. Anybody I go with, they'd go to the top CD of their CD shelf, and you see Bangarang up there, And
Which was a
I still
masterpiece.
bump it every once in a while.
yeah, I still bump it. Yeah, it's still good. It
It's
still
timeless,
holds up.
man.
It
Yeah.
still holds up, and like I kind of feel like Skrillex right now because my one of my KRKs, one of my studio monitors, is actually out of commission. He produced that whole thing on like one monitor, like on the right side of
Really?
the monitor speaker.
Wow.
Yeah, so he produced that whole album out of that. So I like
That's
kind of feel like Skrillex right now.
Yeah,
Like,
hell yeah.
produce it out of one speaker.
That's nuts. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is Ableton your preferred platform?
Definitely. I have one of the guys on my Discord that uses FL like religiously, and he's been making some convincing arguments over there. You click on like a sample and you get this paintbrush, and you can just paint on like wherever you want the kick drum, wherever you want the snare drum, you just
so
paint it
nice.
right on. Yeah, it's just so nice. But there's just so much going on in FL. Like there's so many, like it distracts me as my ADD self. It's like there's stuff everywhere, and I hate it. And I don't know. I've always worked with Ableton. For sure. It's what I started on, and like it's what Skrillex actually used at the time when I started figuring out about DAWs and stuff. So I was just like, well, if Skrillex uses it,
Right.
then can't be half bad. And he actually started out in FL. I don't think it necessarily matters what you use, and I've been told multiple times it doesn't. But like there are certain advantages and disadvantages I still feel like at the same time, like minor ones.
Yeah.
Like in FL Studio, it's a little bit harder to mix because everything is just too colorful. Like things just don't look too definite. Like when you crank up the master bus and like the thing is going like full on, it just doesn't look like, I don't know where it's clipping. I don't know if I turn it up when that's going to be too loud, I don't know.
Right.
It just, the UI doesn't really resonate with me, but that's just a personal preference.
Right.
Yeah, I do run Ableton religiously though.
Yeah.
Definitely that, Serum and Faceplant, which are two programs that I use within Ableton.
Okay.
Those are my jams. So
Right on.
yeah.
So do you have go-to plugins for every song that you make then?
I do in certain cases. It just it's so like it depends so much. It's like if there's a lot of vocals in the track, I always typically use this plugin called Track Spacer that essentially ducks like the whatever you want it to duck with whatever you want it to duck it with. I know that's a really bad explanation, but like if you want a vocal to duck like a bass note, you stick the plugin on and it like perfectly sculpts how the vocal's coming in and ducks it like perfectly. So I always go to that with my vocals and stuff. I use Ozone a lot. I'm a huge Ozone guy. I put it on pretty much every master that I've ever done. And Isotope makes great plugins. So I really like their plugins a lot.
Right on.
Mhm.
Sweet.
Yeah, definitely some go-tos. The stock ones are really good.
Yeah.
The ones that are just built in, yeah, you can get by. you could totally make a banging ass track with just like what's built in.
Really?
Like you don't even necessarily need to like buy all this software or pirate it.
Yeah.
Wink,
However you
wink,
choose
nudge,
to apply
nudge.
it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think you could get away with just using stock stuff.
Right on.
So even though you went to school, you said that it didn't seem like you learned too much other than like how to learn EDM or how to produce. So to everybody that's wanting to get into the scene, would you even recommend going to school? Or just choosing a different school?
It's so subjective with everybody. Personally, I think in my personal view, as long as you know how to learn and like you really dive in, like, I mean, what I first started doing is I started following production channels, just going subscribe, you know, like if they're producing music, I want to follow it. I want to see it. I want to see how it's made. So, you know, now when I go on my YouTube and I'm just casually, you know, on my phone hanging out, it just shows me all these recommendeds of how to make your bass sound better, how to like make your kick like come through more.
You can learn how to produce strictly on YouTube.
Right, you can. Yeah, you most certainly can. And it's just looking for that information. And a lot of people just don't want to take the time out of their day to look. You know, like they want to, you know, be on Instagram or be on Facebook or being looking at memes or whatever.
Right, yeah.
You know, but in all reality, you could just be on YouTube, you know, and just watching like this production video in the background of whatever you're doing. Or,
Right.
you know, and definitely learn a lot because I have learned so much from other people. Like, I will never, ever, in as many years as I produce, I will never claim to know everything about producing music because there's just so many different ways and so many different things that,
And
like...
it's constantly changing. Right?
It's constantly changing,
Right.
It is. The hardware is getting better, the software is getting exponentially better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would never tell anybody that, like, oh, there's a certain way that, like, you have to do this, that, or the other thing, just because it's just changing so much, and, like, there's just so many limitless possibilities. It's like, okay, you get the stock plugins, right? You got reverb, delay, overdrive, saturator, compression. Like, you have all these different things. Like, you can only imagine all the combinations you can do with those things.
Right.
You know, you can only imagine, like, what kind of sounds it would give off if you stuck 2 overdrives in a row and then stuck a compressor on it and then stuck a vocoder on it. You know,
Right.
like, you can, there's so many.
Possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah, it's so limitless.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've definitely learned a lot from YouTube, and I would say you don't have to go to school if you don't want to, but if you feel like you need that drive, if you feel like you need those people encouraging you and you need those classmates, I think that's great. I think it's awesome building a community because I still have people that I went to school with that I network with, and that one of my friends actually threw a Migos show like last year. So, yeah, like paid the Migos like $30,000 to come out and like play the show. So there, you know, people make moves and stuff, and it's always good to keep up on that. But
yeah, right on.
yeah. Sorry, I kind of trailed off a little bit, but
You're good.
yeah. No, it's there's so many ways, and I don't think anybody has to go to school for it if they don't want to.
Yeah.
I think there's so much information out there. You can take a master class, and they might teach you like a couple things that might be hidden in YouTube. You know, like a couple things like you'd have to watch this hour-long production video on YouTube and scrub right to the 37-minute mark in order to learn this specific thing.
Right.
Where they just have it laid out in a class. Oh, this is how you do this. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's obviously benefits to each, and if you're someone who definitely needs that structure and like timelines and things like that, I'd definitely recommend going to school. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you need that motivation, and especially people who work jobs, like look, I'm not like I don't have an official job right now. I'm looking into the recreational marijuana like stuff when that starts opening this 2020.
Oh,
so
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely would love to be a bud tender. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah,
be chill. Oh, yeah. So it's yeah. I don't think anybody has to go to school.
Yeah.
As far as genres that are in the EDM scene, what do you think is the strongest and that has like the biggest growth right now?
So, I was just talking to Tyler Knighton earlier today, and we were talking about booking artists, and I was like, oh, maybe you should book a D&B act. I was like, that would be really cool. And so we kept talking, and I went on Twitter, and DMB 2020 is actually like a super huge trending hashtag right now.
Really?
So I don't know if that's going to come up. I don't know if the recognition is necessarily going to match like people listening to it more. Mm-hmm. But I can see DMB getting really big. I can see people fusing a lot of things with DMB for sure. Mm-hmm. And like people, whenever I've been to the cabin,
drum and bass. I don't know if we ever said that.
Yeah, drum and bass for anybody.
Like D&D, like Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, break out the nat 20s. No, drum and bass I think is definitely could be on a come up. Perhaps Psytrance. Tyler was talking about Psytrance too. I love Psytrance personally, and I definitely think that it could be a come up. It could just be one of those genres that like gets really big in a niche like sort of way and then just kind of falls off again. Mm-hmm. But I think that, and mid tempo has been dominating recently. Like I don't know why. I go on SoundCloud and I can't get away from it.
Yeah.
It's just there's so much, and the biggest thing I've heard a lot of is like metal mixed with mid tempo, which makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's definitely on a come up as well, and especially with Rez, she kind of makes
Yeah.
mid tempo.
Can you give an example as to what mid tempo is?
It's like dubstep slowed down to like 100, and like they're very like pronounced synths. They're almost you guys wouldn't really be familiar, but they're almost like respaces, and they're very. I'll have to show you after the interview is done. But it's just like a very like kick and snare like genre, just
So an artist would be like Rez or
yeah, like one of the artists I could think of is Rez. I don't listen to a whole lot of Rez, but I would consider that like kind of underground mid tempo ish stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I can see that being its own genre. I know a couple other artists with that similar type sound. Very unique.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. I don't really get down with it. I think it's a little boring to me. Like there's not really enough happening in that genre, and maybe it's just too slow for me. I'm super hyped. Like
everyone has their own frequency, right?
Yeah, they do. They really do.
Yeah.
And mine is up at like 150, 160. Yeah. Like I always tell the promoters, I'm like, just make sure you book me. Like you don't have to. I don't want the headlining slot. Like you can book me realistically wherever you want. But I work best at like the 1 to 2 slot. Like right when everybody's had a couple of drinks in them, maybe had like a line of coke in them or something, they come in and want to party. Like that's the kind of shit I throw down.
Right on. Yeah. I mean, like I said, everyone has their own frequency, and it's cool to see how far you can push EDM because it's really limitless.
It is. And like that's what blew me away when you were asking me like how when I first discovered like SoundCloud and everything. Like it just blew me away. Like how much you can do. I would listen to like 20 songs in a row and like none of them sounded anything alike. And they could have been in the same key. They could have been in the same BPM range, but they just like all sounded different. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to make this because this is dope.
Yeah, and there's so much underground too. Like
yeah.
You can go pretty far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
If you're really searching.
Yeah, and I know it's really cool because like when I'm on SoundCloud, sometimes I'll see artists, like bigger artists, let's say like Taboo for instance, or like Nasco or Skrillex. Like I'll see them post like songs of artists that only have a couple hundred plays. Like, and I kind of like go on SoundCloud, and sometimes when I'm making mixes, I'll like stalk the artist pages because I'm like, oh, I really like this artist. I want to see what they've liked, to see like if I can come up with a couple cool tracks. Like some of them have like 500 plays, like 100 plays. Like I'm just like, wow, like you are really digging.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You are really digging.
But SoundCloud's a great platform to really get deep, right?
It is. It's I don't know. It's just SoundCloud is so weird. It's just like it has all these things where it's like DCMA, like all this copyright stuff. But at the same time, most of the people who just like post stuff on there don't really they're not really making money off of it unless they try.
Right.
So it's a weird place, SoundCloud, but I love it. It's fun. It's like the Wild West. You know what I mean? You can literally see anything on there. Whereas if you go on YouTube and type in, XX Tentacion, remix, a lot of them have been taken down, and a lot of them have been flagged unless they were cleared with the artist. Where on SoundCloud, you could see anything. Like you could see, a post from a dubstep artist like reposting a song, a remix that like nobody else has even really heard before. It's got 2,000 plays. Like nobody that's watching YouTube going on Trap Nation, going on like these bigger platforms are going to see that. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, the algorithm that they use and maybe like suggested tracks that you might like, right? That's a big part of it too, and a lot of it is stuff where you're like, who the fuck is this? Right? Like, it's not like those repetitive. Going through the mainstream, it really gets deep. Or can. And like you said, you can go really deep. You can go really far down the rabbit hole, and like I can only imagine some of the stuff you would find. Like there's I saw somebody like making Guitar Hero charts, like they're charting the song, and like they made a meme one, and it was all these memes off SoundCloud, and it was just like I don't know, it was just like a mashup of all these popular culture things that were made on SoundCloud. Like they put a beat behind the Thomas the Tank Engine theme, and like just all these different things. That's hilarious. It's ridiculous. So I love that you can just find like underground cool stuff like that. Yeah. And when you mentioned copyright on YouTube, that just kind of made me think of EDM, especially with Skrillex, like when you hear Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, you know, you think of the Stack the Cup girl with the Yes, Oh My God, right? Like when she broke the record and he used that sample in his track, and like that, I think was the initial, like, the track that kind of laid the foundation for a lot of artists who do that, you know, like that is a huge part of it, is sampling.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's just crazy, like, how it differs from the culture. Like, I follow a lot of hip hop too, because I make beats for rappers, so the for them, like, they have this guy that comes on the interview, and I don't know, like, what the whole backstory is, what's going on in these artists' lives, but they, like, get this interview with this guy, and this guy, like, pretty much exposes them and like pulls out all these records and all these things, like, from things that they sampled. And it's kind of funny because it's like they're almost embarrassed that, like, oh, like, they sampled this song. Mm-hmm. Where in the EDM community, it's like, you go for it, right. You know, like, everything is game. It doesn't matter what it is, you know. Right. So it's kind of funny how it gets across the different genres. You know, people will be like, oh, you know, the Suicide Boys do it a lot. They sampled Deadmau5 a couple times, I'm pretty sure. Okay. And they didn't have the interview with this guy, but they it's like, it's almost like they don't want to say it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're not super prominent about saying, oh, this is a
right.
You know.
But I mean, in actuality, if you think of music in general, it's even if it isn't the same chord or what have you, it's all inspired from different sounds.
Right.
You know
exactly.
I mean? So like the fact that you want to put like a trademark on something is, unless you are matching something like beat for beat, by all means, I think artists do and should get credit somewhere. Like if you're gonna post something, right? But if you were, you know, able to manipulate it and make something completely new, which one of my favorite artists, Pretty Lights, did, took a lot of old school samples from different songs and threw in some electronic synths and made it his own. Like, you really wouldn't be able to tell because he does so much modification to certain samples.
The sounds.
Right.
I agree with that, and it's, I mean, the laws on it are so gray. It's like, you know, if you can't tell that it's that song, how would you ever know? How would I ever get stricken if you can't even distinguish that it's, you know, a Lil Uzi song or whatever? You know?
And to me, when I do hear like that actual song, you know, after hearing what it, you know, almost like recycled, you know what I mean? Like that's a cool experience. So you're like, okay, this is what it sounded like now. Here's his little twist on it, and then just to kind of make that connection is really, really cool. Yeah. What the hell
is he snoring back
there? Is he snoring? Oh my god. Jesus Christ, dog. He's in his REM cycle.
Oh my god.
So is sampling a big part of your production process then?
It is and it isn't. I do use a lot of samples from sample packs. I do a lot of flips too. That's my thing. I love remixes. I love flips. I think
so what exactly is a flip?
So a flip, I would say, is like another term for a remix. I would say there are like I've looked it up and somebody like put like a Reddit post and it's like a remix is a, you know, twist on an original work. A cover is, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And they had all the things listed.
With trap, isn't it?
Yeah. And I always just call them flips. Just I don't know, because I just like it. I think it sounds cooler.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing in trap music for sure. And like you know, I always listen to top 50s, you know, because the top 50s on hip hop are like what are gonna get people moving on the dance floor, because they know that song. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Right. Whether it's a Juice WRLD song, whether it's a Travis Scott song, whether it's like whoever, like all when it gets to be, you know, 12 to 1 a.m. and everybody's got a couple drinks in them, all the girls want to shake their ass to, you know, T-Pain. They don't want to shake their ass to Excision. You know, like let's be real. Yeah. You know, but you have to like fuse it in there, you know, and so that's a lot of times what I try to do when I do my flips, is that I try to like find songs that people know and can recognize, and like it adds like flavor to the set, you know what I mean, instead of it just being artists you've never heard before, you know. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dope. Den, anything else?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
What do we got? Is this a wrap?
I think that's a wrap. What's our time at, Den?
1 hour.
Wow.
Oh, perfect.
Wow, right on the dot.
Yeah.
Cool. I was so
Nailed it.
scared I wasn't going to fill the whole slot. And then if I can just give shout outs
Yeah, if we
to
can do it. We can do an outro.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Shout out to everybody who wants to.
Yeah, okay. Shout outs to Taylor Chain. He's my ride. He's my homie. I love him. Shout outs to Kayla Bear, who works at the intersection. You're awesome and you're a great person. And shout outs to Tyler Knight and Ronan and Cody Hickox for sure. I love you guys and I can't wait to spit with you, Cody, because it's going to be lit.
Oh yeah. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for coming on the Vibe.
Hey,
sharing
thank you
your
guys
story.
so much for having me. Like, I support you guys so much. I said it off stream, but I just like I've seen every single episode. Like, I always watch it. It's so entertaining. Like, I don't know. I just love being like so involved in the scene and like just sharing your guys' message around and getting this together. Because this is a cool ass spot. Like, you guys
Yeah,
got
I appreciate it, man.
flags and everything in here. Like, this is such a
Cool
such
vibe,
a
right?
chill vibe.
Hell yeah. That's what we're going for, man. Really.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's awesome, man. I love it. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on.
Our
and,
pleasure, man.
I hope to make it back maybe
Oh,
in a
absolutely.
couple months and
Absolutely.
we'll
Once that EP drops.
see. Yeah,
it'll be out
yeah,
here, right?
yeah. Maybe you guys can do like a review segment and
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
score
We'd
it
love
or
that.
something.
Yeah, we'd love that for sure.
I'll pay you some money under the table.
Right, yeah. Take bribes.
Awesome, cool.
Anyways, well, thanks
Yeah.
again, man.
Yeah, thank you guys, and to everybody that's out there, be safe and don't do too many drugs.
Cool. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.